It's Monday, April the 1st, 2024. And I'm not joking around. I'm moving bees today. Now, the forecast high for today is 7C. That's pretty warm. The temperatures around here have gone up pretty fast over the last, say, 4 or 5 days. We've had overnight lows down -20 or colder as recently as a week ago. And now we're getting overnight lows of barely below freezing. So that's really nice to see because it's April and I want the bees out. So I usually look for overnight lows of -10 or warmer. And this year I decided to look for overnight lows of -5 or warmer, just to try something different. And I'm getting my wish because there were no overnight lows of -10 or warmer and less than -5. It's gone from -15, -20 to, -4 at night. So that's really good news. And so I'm really counting on this little guy today. He does all the heavy lifting, as it were, and literally. And so I'm going to drag him out of the building. There's a couple things to move out from in front of the door. What I do is I usually have my pallet jack in there. So I'll pull a stack of bees back, and then I'll put the entrance reducers in right there in the building. And then I'm going to do a quick colony check under the lid. I think there's a lot of mortality. So if the colonies are not alive, then they're not going to go anywhere. I'll just stack them there because the time is used up going back and forth to the apiary. So I won't bother doing that if the colonies aren't living. So we got to get at this. It's just after 7 a.m. And once the sun gets warm and the ground starts to warm up, it gets muddy. So it gets messy. But if it gets too bad, I can't move. I can't go through the mud. Just get stuck. So I'd rather not make a mess, but I also can't get stuck. So if I don't get done this today, then I'm going to be at it tomorrow morning too. So you can tell how tired I am. I am tired. So we're going to get at this, and hopefully I don't drop any bees on the ground or nothing. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy this. Well, here they are, out of the building. And this is it. This is the extent of the apiary at this point. And it's not even as good as it looks because there's a lot of pallet mates here that are dead outs. I just haven't taken them off the pallet. There's 13 colonies here. Of the 13, I'm content with the way they look. They're not 13 that I expect to die. I might get a couple of more colonies expire before they get going again. I'm not super emotional over this. I'm very disappointed and very humbled. However, I'm mystified. I'm going in my 9th season here, and it seems to be getting worse every year. Is that me growing complacent? Is that me getting lazy? I know I'm getting old, and it gets harder every year for me to do this. So I'd like to figure out what's going on, because I used to be able to winter, between 0 and 20%, somewhere in there, mortality. I've had those numbers, and I've had 15%. I've had 5%. I've had 0 once. That was my first year too, 0. And that was outdoors, so maybe I better start wintering outdoors again. So I don't really know what to make of this, really. What's the next step? Well, I have to make sure these bees have what they need. I'll be doing assessments on them to make sure there's feed stores. I've got lots of syrup there if they need syrup, but I have tons of feed frames too, so I don't know that I really need to feed them syrup as much. You might think that there's a stimulative effect from syrups, and I don't think you'd be incorrect. But we will see. I'm still absorbing and still processing this, still processing what my spring and my summer is going to look like. I'm concerned about my honey crop because I have customers and I've built up a really good following for my product, and so I need probably 6,000 to 8,000 pounds of honey to get through the season, and that's kind of minimum. That doesn't leave me a lot of excess. So we'll get some pollen patties on here. I've got them in the freezer, so what I need to do is I need to go get them out of the freezer and get them in the house or even in the wood shop where it's warm. Warm them up before I put them on the colonies. And that's the very least I can do for them. I'll do feed checks at that time, and if they're low, then I think maybe I'll just take some feed frames out of dead outs and put in there. Why did they die? Well, that was a good question. I know I had amitraz resistant mites last year, and I didn't detect that early enough in order to do anything about it. So they killed most of my colonies. So I'm chalking it up to that most of all, And you know what? I'm going to rant here a little bit. People will talk to me and they'll say, "Oh, everybody says the bees are dying." Well, the bees are dying. Well, it's pesticides killing the bees. If pesticides were our problem, 95% of our problems would be gone. And that's my contention. Because 95% of our problems is the disease and viruses that varroa mites vector to our bees. If we didn't have a constant influx of vermin and pests and disease and parasites from Asia, we'd be fine. Pesticides are none. So it's frustrating for me to hear people say, well, the pesticides are killing the bees. Are they good for the bees? Probably not, but they're the least of our concerns, really, in my opinion. That's my opinion. What do I do next? It's nothing for me to do now. Now I just clean up the mess that came out of the building, and it's substantial. There's 100 and there'll be 162 dead out boxes to clean up. That's a lot. I've never cleaned up that many in one shot before. Plus there's some over here that died last fall. They've just been sitting there all winter. I'm getting behind. On this, and I don't know if I can handle it, to be honest. Anyway, this little orange guy, you can hardly see him here. He really made all the difference today. What a great tractor. I love that tractor. Well, I'll leave it at that for now. I'll let you know what happens from here on in. Thanks for watching. Take care and have fun.